Hello again. I just got a question from Driftinkser. Sorry if I butchered that. And I have a few minutes before I have to go, uh, and this is a big question or a big answer. I'm with you on this one. I have a question. What if all 50 states finally legalized? What are the ups and downs? What are the downs and ups? I know we can save lots of money if we grow our own. I want to hear your side. Well, first of all, once marijuana is legalized in all 50 states, uh, hemp is the big one. Uh, I know I talk a lot about marijuana and cannabinoids and health benefits and things like that. Uh, I actually initially got into this movement through hemp and the corruption that got hemp made illegal. Hemp is going to change the world. Hemp will save the world. It'll save the human race. And it's probably the only thing that can. Marijuana is a happy bonus, and I would say just slightly less important than hemp. Uh, I could argue both sides. Uh, but I made a short list of once it's legalized in all 50 states, there'll be, of course, less discrimination, less job discrimination. Particularly, most of these are going to affect poor communities. But if you have a drug conviction or any really federal conviction, it's nearly impossible to get a job. Any employer is going to go, oh, you went to jail. I'm not going to do that. So you already have this cloud over your head just because you got arrested for whatever. But with a federal drug charge, there's a stigma attached to it. So when that goes away, nobody will care. Nobody will be busted for marijuana in particular. So if you smoke a joint, it's none of your employer's damn business. Just like if you had a drink, as long as it's not affecting your job, it's none of their business. Of course, less police brutality and police invasions, less police using the marijuana, the drug laws as a way to discriminate and push their racist agenda, and just stop stealing from you. Cops, I'm sure if anybody's watching this video understands that when police bust you for drugs, they can take your car, they can take your house, they can take your stereo equipment, they can rob you, they can take all your money, and then they don't even have to charge you. They just take all your stuff, let you go. Highway robbery, they're bandits, modern bandits. It would remove that tool that they can use to steal from you. So it'll also end a lot of corruption in the legal system, in the police force. I appreciate police. I'm not anti-police, but when you have laws that are anti-human, the police become an occupying force, and it becomes us versus them, which is what we have. Uh, More education opportunities. I'm looking at some notes I just jotted down real quick because there's so much. If when marijuana becomes legalized, it won't quite be rainbows and unicorns and pixie dust, but it'll be close. But educational opportunities right now, if you get busted for a drug charge, you don't get a grant, you don't get loans, you don't get all your chances for assistance to go to school to get an advanced education are gone. So it effectively just caps you at whatever education qualifications. I'm not a huge degree, higher education kind of believer. I've been to college. I've learned far more on my own on the internet, reading, watching documentaries, doing my own research and studies than I ever did in school. But not everybody learns that way. So, and in school is a lot. It's not just what you learn; it's who you meet while you're learning. You're making connections. So if you go to like a trade school for marijuana, for growing, cannabis, you're going to meet other people that are going to be growing and other people that have those interests. So you can get links to other industries or to the industry through that. So it's not just the education. So there's benefits for that, but you get more opportunity for school. Uh, you get to vote. With my last video, you get more political clout. A lot of people in poorer communities rightly feel like they don't have a voice in society. If they're not able to vote, their vote doesn't count. It doesn't seem to sway anything. You're no longer part of your community. You're an outcast, and so robbing and rioting and destroying the buildings that around where you live and destroying the businesses where you live uh, no longer seems like a self-defeating thing because you're already defeated. Burning down a Walgreens in your neighborhood because it's not your neighborhood. You don't feel an attachment to that because you have no voice in your community anymore. So I think legalizing drugs in general, but marijuana specifically, I think will improve that. It will be more engaging as a community because you have a voice. Um, Less stress, less disease. Something I haven't been talking about quite as much is I have less a drug addiction because you won't be using the as many pharmaceuticals. You'll take a lot of power away from the pharmaceutical companies. But some of the stuff that I don't talk about quite as much that I'm trying to now in the last couple of videos is that endocannabinoids or cannabinoids are part of our immune system. That's part of our homeostasis control. I picture it, or I think of it like vitamin C back in the old Navy days when they still had, cannabis sales, and the British in particular, but they called them the limeys, because the sailors would go out for months at a time and they would get like scurvy, and uh, through trial and error, they found out that if you don't get enough vitamin C, enough citrus, you develop that disease. You develop scurvy. So at that point, the British brought in limes. That's why they called them limeys. They brought in limes so that the sailors could get some citrus and prevent that disease. So at that point, limes and citrus became medical citrus. It became a treatment for a disease. I think cannabis is just as important as vitamin C. And in the last 70 years, 80 years, we've seen an uptick in cancers, ADHD, a lot of immune system, MS, a lot of immune system disorder that I believe, just like taking vitamin C, if we made oranges and grapefruit and limes and citrus illegal, we would see a whole slew of diseases popping up because we need that in our diet. We've evolved to have that in our diet. I believe that we've evolved to have cannabis in our diet as well, and our immune system, our bodies are now suffering from it. Not to the degree that vitamin C did, because vitamin C you get scurvy fairly quickly, months. Uh, but with a lack of cannabinoids, or that the cannabinoids in our diet, we're seeing thyroid problems, arthritis problems, and all these things does still occurred. Of course, it's not getting rid of anything, but I think we'll see far less uh, prominence of these diseases. I think it will alleviate a lot of the stress that we have in our bodies. And I also believe people will drink less alcohol because you're able to do a little of both, a little more social, a little less violence. Going out I think will alter. There's always been alcohol use and recreational drug use. I think that's of course going to continue, but I think having a less aggressive drug, a drug that more mellows, more prominent, because everybody does it now. They go out to a bar, they have a joint, in the back, or smoke before going and then drink, so they're a little more mellow. But having it so open, I think will mellow out the going out experience. One of the reasons I don't really go out anymore is because I don't like aggressiveness of people that have been drinking. So it will essentially change everything about America. But it's not just about the drug. Hemp is the big one. The reason marijuana is illegal is not because of marijuana. They use marijuana to make hemp illegal. And I'm sure you know this already, so I'm preaching to the choir. But we'll have less toxins in the environment, less poisons in our food, less impact from industry. We won't be cutting down forests because we'll be able to use hemp for paper and wood and uh, clothing and all the stuff that hemp is good for. We won't have to destroy old growth forests. And it's not just the trees, it's how the roots and the land process water and absorb moisture and create clouds and affect the environment on top of that. So it's it probably seemed like a simple question, and I'm missing a ton of stuff, but I got to get moving. Um, so legalizing hemp, I think, will change the world, or legalizing cannabis will change the world in every way. Hope that answers the question. Peace.